In this video, we talk about data frames, which is another distributed data structures in Spark. You first need a Spark session object, which is an unified entry that manages all the intersections with the Spark cluster. And the first thing is you need to import a Spark conf for configuration, a Spark conf class, Spark context class, and a Spark session class from py Spark package. And use Spark conf class to create a Spark conf object and set the application name. The configuration object is then passed to the Spark context object, and the Spark context is in SC, and then the Spark context SC is then passed to the Spark session object, and later on you can use the Spark object to start any other DataFrames activities. And in order to stop a Spark context object, call the stop method of the object. Here you can think of the Spark context is as an instance of Spark. In order to create a data frame, you can read data from CSV files. So you start with the Spark session and use spark.read.format, and the format here is CSV. Another is JSON, but in this case you use CSV. And in option you say header is true, because we have header in the CSV file. And then the load method, give it the path and the file name. And you read CSV data into uses df, which is for the data frame. df is for data frame. Okay. Also, you can use an existing RED and convert the RED to the data frame using the toDF method. And a data frame can also be converted back to an RED using the RED method. In this case is when you need to apply RED's methods. And you are gonna convert the data frame back to RED in order to use those methods. Now for data exploring, if you want to show a few records from a data frame, then use the show method on the data frame. Give it a number telling how many records you want to read. Then the data frame would be printed for those records in the tabular format like this. There are a few common data frame attributes such as the types, very much like pandas data frames. The types list the types of the columns in the data frame. Columns list the column names and count if the number of rows in the data frame. Some common methods include head. Head prints the first n rows, and show prints the first n rows as well, but in the tabular format. Also, there are some other methods such as first in order to return the first row and take um, returns the first n rows, very much like a hat. How do you select a column or multiple columns in a data frame? One of the ways is to use the column names just like Panda data frames. And here we select the columns user ID and also use ID, and use the double square brackets. Another is to use the select method. So use the select method of the data frame and give it a list of columns. For example, user ID and use ID. How do you group data in a data frame? In order to do this, you call the group by method and give it the column name that you want to group by, and then apply the count method and show the result. The result of count is a data frame, so you can call show on that data frame in order to print the result. How can we filter data? How can we filter data? So in order to filter data, we call the filter method on the data frame and give it the conditions. So the first condition here is the platform. The column platform has to be equal to iOS, and the column platform. And here the second condition is actually platform version 10.2, and then the show method in order to display file records, and this is what we can see. Another way is to use the where method. We call the where method on the data frame and give it the conditions like a SQL statement where clause. So the condition is platform is equal to iOS and platform version like. So then give it what we want to match, and this is 0.1 within the percentage. Here we want to display anything with 0.1 in between. So this is what we have: 10.1 heads, 0.1 in between. This pattern also display anything like 10 point, for example 12 also. If you want to match only 0.1, then you would remove the other percentage side. This slide shows other Boolean operators such as greater or equal, less than or equal, and not equal. A data frame can be sorted using the order by method. So give it the column that we want to order. The second argument is ascending, can be true or false, and this returns a data frame. We call the show method on the data frame to display, for example, 3 records. and this is what we see. If we want to order by multiple columns, then the first parameter is a list of columns. And the second parameter is also ascending, but a list of 0, 1. So here it means that platform is ordered by descending order, because the value for platform is 0, and device is ordered by ascending order, because the value for ascending here is 1. We can add more columns to a data frame using the with column method. In this example, we create a new column, namely platform version main changes, that round up platform version. We can use the describe method to get a list of descriptive statistics such as count, mean, standard deviation, mean, and max. Now let's talk about yawns. There are 4 types yawns: inner yawn, left outer yawn, right outer yawn, and full outer yawn. The first type is inner yawn. In this example, we yawn device df to uses df based on the condition, the matching condition, and the inner type and we call the select a method, select all the columns, and if we want, we can list a number of columns here to select a subset of columns. If instead we use left outer or just left, right, then the yawn becomes the left outer yawn. The left outer yawn returns all the records in the data frame on the left, even records that do not have matches on the right data frame. And here, that's why we see a lot of null on the side of use EDF data frame. Right outer yawn. In this example, yawn device df with uses df using the same matching condition, and instead we use right outer or just right, right? If you just use right, and it would be sufficient. So this returns all the records in the data frame on the right, and here we can see they are not null anymore. In this example, we show only 5 records. If we instead shows everything, then later on we can see some null value on the left data frame. Full auto yawn actually is a combination of both left and right. So if we print the dataset, the data frame, which is a yawn of both device df and uses df using full outer or just full, then we can see null values on both left and right side.